Right. Episode 4 of Coachcast going down today, and we've got a doctor in the building. Fuck knows what she's doing here. Dr Emilia Thompson, welcome to the podcast. Wish I could say she's come all the way from Scotland, but she hasn't. It was a poor effort.
I would.
She get that on a reel. She would come down from Scotland for this podcast. So obviously a little bit different to the norm for Coachcast, I would say, because I think most people are just thinking there's just going to be like male bodybuilding coaches, but I think main reason why I want Emilia on this is because I think everyone who listens to this will learn something instead of just being like, what calories are you on, bro? And I find what she does super fucking interesting, so I'm pretty sure other people will as well. So if anyone doesn't know who Emilia is, this is Emilia. Hello.
Hi.
So start me from the start. Okay. You went to uni, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What happened from there? What did you do at uni?
Oh, crikey. Okay, I did...
Just an introduction to yourself.
Okay,
Yeah?
I'm ready. I've got this down right.
Yeah.
So I did an undergraduate in sports biomedicine, and then I did a master's in sport and exercise nutrition, and then I started a PhD in exercise physiology. And at the same time as I was doing that, I started competing. And competing was for me just another way to hide all of my issues and put them...
Like most people. Yeah.
I didn't say that. I'm being very careful about what I say on this
You-
podcast.
I won't be careful what I say. So.
Okay, give me 10 minutes and I won't either. So I started competing at the same time because I had binge eating issues before I even competed. And then...
From when?
From like 15, 16.
Okay. I will interrupt loads, just FYI.
Put in.
I will interrupt
Fine,
loads
I'm ready
with
for it.
questions, FYI. Okay,
I'm
cool.
already sweating. I think the interruptions are making it even hotter. So I'd always had disordered eating habits from like 15, 16. It was like a response to family stuff and emotional dysregulation and stuff like that. But I didn't know that's what it was. I always thought it was just, I want to look like Kate Moss.
Yeah.
Never going to happen, let's be honest, for so many reasons. But I always thought it was just because I wanted to be thin. And then I found competing because I was in a bit of a crappy relationship, and then I had loads of guy friends and they were like, right, come to the gym. And like any girl, when was this, 2013, any woman that goes to the gym and starts lifting weights, people are like, so when are you going to compete? Are you going to compete? Have you seen this? And at the time...
Do you realise that's the same for men as well?
Is it?
100%. Because when I started going to the gym and I first like dieted down and got in like decent nick, people were like, when you competing then? And I had it for like 5 years before I actually competed.
Yeah, but...
When you jumping on stage, bro? I don't know, bro.
Yeah, but did you not look like a bodybuilder? I didn't look like a bodybuilder. I just literally like lifted a bit of weights and people were like, oh, just go and do a bikini. And at that time, to be fair, bikini now is wildly progressed than when it was when I did it and started in 2014.
Yeah.
Which
is a long time ago.
A very long time ago. I don't. And then I went on to teach. I went to teach at uni. I taught in sport and exercise nutrition, lectured for like 3 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time as that, I started realizing that competing was bringing up all of these issues with my relationship with food. And again, that was probably 2016. On social media, nobody, like, still meal plans then, right?
Yeah.
You'll remember it. And it was all just like, it was proper like hustle culture, grind harder, all of that stuff. And
7 days a week in the gym, bro.
Yeah, totally that. And I was like, well, I did my first show and I had a coach for my first show only. And afterwards I was like, why am I, like, I was having cheat meals and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, why am I binge eating? Like, this is really weird. And I thought, this is just me. This is my own issues because I hadn't dealt with them. Even though I'd had a good spell where I hadn't struggled, because that's kind of what binge eating sometimes is. You'll have like good times and then like maybe you'll have a year where you're like, everything's great. And then you'll have like a time when it's a bit harder. So I was like, well, this is like really weird. This must just be me. So I started writing blogs and I was like, this is where I'm at. This is really interesting. This is the research.
Were you getting a lot of people respond to that?
Yeah, so I wasn't coaching then. I was just writing stuff on like whatever blog site it was at the time.
Is this how you started getting? Because let's be fair, you've got quite a large social media following.
Why, thanks.
Stop. Yeah, and did that all like start with this?
Yeah. So that and like bikini cliche, like I've got a bad back because how much posing I was doing. Like it was kind of both. It was like our shots and then like blog writing.
I think you're quite like me, like savagely honest,
Yeah.
and we'll just talk about what you're feeling instead of just hiding stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that's why people are drawn to me sometimes, because like you're really fucking just honest and you say what you want to say.
Yeah.
Like if I feel like shit, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, but
So-
not. Did you do it back then? So that was, say, 2015, 16. Were you honest back then?
No, not at all. I think as I've started to get older, I've just give less of a fuck
Yeah.
what people think, and funny enough, it actually brings more people to you.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool.
So good. But at that time, nobody was. So when I was saying I was binge eating, people would share my stuff and they would message me in private. But then
But they wouldn't do it.
nobody was saying, using the words binge eating. Nobody knew what a relationship with food was. And so when I started talking about it, I was like, I'm just going to look at the research because I was still at the uni. So I was like, okay, well, what's the research around extreme dieting? What's the research around like physique athletes and stuff like that? Because I didn't really know Lane Norton was around. So he was talking about some stuff, but not hugely. And all of the information I got was from like evidence-based nutrition, like Sigma Nutrition and stuff like this. And I was like, why is no one in the UK fitness space like, this is what's happening to me too? And
Do you think that's a level of like embarrassment for people?
People feel so much shame around disordered eating, and binge eating especially. I didn't tell anyone I struggled with binge eating until I was like in my 30s.
Yeah, and it started at 15.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a huge amount of shame with it, with all of these things, right? So nobody likes to say. And honestly, now I think women are a lot better and a lot more open. I don't really see it so much with men, and obviously my audience is a lot more female than it is men. But you'd be surprised at how many male bodybuilders DM me who have good coaches that I know. When I say good coaches, in terms of my opinion of prep coaches, I know some really good prep coaches, obviously. And they'll have coaches and they'll message me and they'll be like, I'm binge eating, like I don't really know what to do. And I'm like, well, are you still prepping and doing these things? They're like, yeah, my coach is doing this. And
Do you think they're in
so much
denial?
shame. No, I think that they think that I think that people want a way out of it without having to give up prep.
Yeah. And that will lead us on to some questions today with that as well.
Because like if you tell your coach and you've got a really good coach, maybe they'll say, okay, let's try a couple of these things.
Let's see if we can
exactly
get through
that,
it.
right?
Yeah.
But a good coach, if you're binge eating every weekend and really struggling with it and your mental health is suffering, a good prep coach is not going to be like, let's just keep going till show day if you've got another 2 months to go.
Yeah, I mean, look, someone who I prepped like massively springs to mind. Was talking about it like 14 weeks out, and it's like you're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just pull it now. I want to keep going, and it's like sometimes you have to give them the benefit of the doubt, and 3 weeks goes by.
Yeah.
And it's like
because you want to
and
keep
it's
going.
just make it, and I get it because it's people want to have a goal, they want to, and they do want to do it, but I don't think everyone can do it.
Also, though, the thing is like people, when you're at that stage, you're like, oh, it's a self-control thing. I know that I just need to have more willpower and I'm going to have more willpower, and willpower lasts for a certain number of weeks. But then, and I'm sure we'll talk about what happens when you diet, but like your food preoccupation will increase, your body, like you get obsessed with your body. Like there's so many things that happen through prep that mean that it's not willpower. There might be a little bit of self-control in there, right? But beyond that, it's really not. That's
and
not what it
most
is.
of this probably stems from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And they don't even realise.
Yeah.
Like, when post that prep, when Paul him out, we kind of like chatted about it. He was like, I actually related to something that happened with one of my friends like 10 years ago. God. I'm just like, what the fuck? And when you said that, I'm like, right, it's probably not good for you to prep, ever.
Yeah. Do you know that male bodybuilders have 100 times higher rate of prior anorexia diagnosis than non-bodybuilders?
Doesn't surprise me.
100 times.
It's like, why do people get into the gym? Like, I know why I got into the gym. I was fat as fuck. Like, I was massively overweight because I had an issue with my eating. And do I think bodybuilding's made my issue with eating better? I do, because my relationship with food now is actually, I would consider healthy. But at the same time, it is still a version of disordered eating.
I think that's the thing. And I think that's the thing. And I know there's certain bodybuilders, I obviously see more so the women, because it's just my echo chamber is more women and who compete and say, oh, compete and cured my eating disorder and things like that. And it's so problematic because it's like, it improved, it's helped you have what you feel is a healthier control over things, but that's still not ultimately what is the healthiest, which is like, and we know from all of the research, like the healthiest is this intuitive type of eating and approach, and not this cyclical, like bulking, cutting, all of these things. But that's a hard one to accept, especially when you're doing well and competing. It's like, well, I'm doing fine. So
For some people, it's worth the
yeah.
sacrifice or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and also there's other cool research that looks at personality traits of bodybuilders and people with eating disorders, and there's certain like character traits like perfectionism, obviously, narcissism, which is an interesting one. What else was there? A couple of personality traits that are very like that are highly dominant in people who have had eating disorders. Some people, not all people, and bodybuilders. There is a predisposition to the sport of people that already have disordered eating, but it's not only them that then develop disordered eating when they compete in prep. Like you can have a healthy relationship with food, go into competing,
and
then still mess it up.
Which because it's such restriction.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I can't have that because I'm on prep, and I get that it's part of the sport. But yeah,
it's not just that though, it's self-surveillance too. Like when you're on prep, how many times are you taking your scale weight? How many times are you looking in the mirror? Like when I was competing, I'd go to the toilet at work and I'd be like, look at my delts or whatever. Like, like I know you're laughing because you're like, what's there?
No, I'm laughing because that's me.
Oh, there you
like
go.
When I was competing, it was like every day you're looking for new things on your physique. You're like, oh fucking hell, that's cool.
Yeah. Or you're taking progress pictures week to week, and then or even day to day, and you're like, oh, look at the difference here, and you become so obsessed with yourself and your body, and that's required, right, for the sport. It's not a judgment thing, but like that self-surveillance increases your risk of poor body image, and then increases your risk because that's associated with disordered eating.
I would probably, well, I don't know any percentages. I'm just going to say a percentage off the top of my head. 90% of people that are doing that and are having that self-surveillance, like you said, are most likely not happy with what they look at.
Yeah.
And that's why they go to the gym every day, because they want to make it better, which I get, because I'm the same. I don't want to look like how I look, because I don't like how I look. That's why I go to the gym.
But the irony being,
are you ever going to like it?
Yeah, and the irony being, like, especially with prep, like the leaner you get, like your emotions and your mental health can struggle as you get to the point of like competing. Like you're very lean, right? And the irony being is your body image is so related to your mood. So when you're struggling, you're stressed, you're not sleeping, you're worried about like the show, all of these things, your mental health is suffering, so your body image is going to suffer as a result of that. So even if you look on paper the best you've ever looked, quote unquote, like I know that's subjective, you're not going to, it's very unlikely that you're going to feel like that. And then maybe when you get your trophy you will for like that day until you overeat that night and then feel bad again the next day.
Yeah, and then you wake up the next day and it's like, right, when's the next show? I need to be bigger. I need to do this. Right, well, I need to eat fucking loads of food. I need to get bigger. I need to be uncomfortable, bro.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff.
Great to focus on though rather than life though, right?
Yeah. Fucking hell, that's such a great start to the podcast. So that was really good. Really enjoyed that. Okay.
Thanks, I have that effect.
Yeah. So, you finished competing. When did you set up your business? What was it called? And
I set up my business when I was still competing. I kind of fell into that. Oh well, if I compete, that'll be really good for my business because I don't know. Looking at my business now, it's like that was probably a stupid thing to do. But at the time, I didn't know any better. Yeah. I finished competing in 2017. I think I set up my business. I went full time with my business. Actually about 6 months before I quit my job. Wait, hold on, that doesn't work. I quit competing and then I did. I probably went full time maybe 9 months later.
What were you doing just before?
Lecturing.
Were you still lecturing?
So I was lecturing and I'd started taking on like some clients when I was lecturing at the same time, but it was all just organic, like because I was talking about it. I didn't call myself a coach or anything at that point.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, well, that's how I did. Like I just put up that I was doing something and people were like, oh, can you help me? Okay. Just like
Great,
fell into it.
When it's authentic and organic, like that's where that's cool. The magic part.
And then it just stems from there. And then, oh, actually, I could make a business out of this. And then when you do, you've already got a base. And it's like people just, I think, naturally just come to you anyway. Yeah. So that's been, what, 6 years?
6 years,
You've done that. Okay. And how many clients did you have when you left your actual job, if you can remember?
Not many. I think something like maximum 20. Okay. Maximum. I had savings and I'd kind of saved for that whole time in the hope that like if I needed them I would use them, but I wasn't like set up to go full time. I just was like fuck it, I'm just gonna
Did you always want to work for yourself?
No, I never did. I never really did.
I love that.
Yeah, like my mum's self-employed, my sister's self-employed, right? So there was probably something
in
me.
What do they do, if you don't mind me asking?
My mum's in like arts, like theatre and stuff like that, and my sister's in graphics and TV and film, which is sick. My sister is just she's just the best. And she works on all these really cool like films and stuff. And then, no, I wasn't going to. I loved lecturing. Like, you know how people are like, oh, I quit my job and now I do what I love. I loved lecturing. I loved teaching. I loved the students. I loved all of it.
So why did you quit your job?
Because some of my students were like, "You're teaching us to do what you could be doing, and you could be doing it better." And they were saying to me like, "You should be doing this."
Sick.
And
That's
those,
cool.
yeah, and those students are now like coaches themselves, or like work with elite athletes and stuff like that. And because they were like, why I love teaching is the students. So yeah, just because I also knew that I could, because again, nobody was talking about it. So I was like, if I don't talk about this stuff, then all these other bikini athletes are sat home crying, eating Pop-Tarts. Like this is a me thing.
And is that the main reason why you did it? In
Genuinely,
terms of like from an eating standpoint, trying to just help people.
Genuinely, yeah. That's how I've always been, and I kind of hate saying it because you kind of like, oh, holier than thou, but genuinely, that's my marker of success. Is like, how many people can I help?
Yeah, relate massively. It's like
Nice.
like we were saying outside, like just say yes to everything because I want to help everyone. If someone comes in, they've got a problem, I want to solve that problem.
Yeah, but you're a pathological people pleaser. That's what we've discovered because it's to your detriment.
Yeah.
So you need to sort that shit
Burnout
out.
pending. Probably after this. Okay, cool. So that's been going 6 years. And you've like expanded your business now. You have how many coaches underneath you?
7.
Fucking hell. I didn't even know that. Jesus Christ. So how did that come about?
I was full. So my max I've ever worked with, I think, is 55 clients because
Fair play.
of the type of coaching I do. I want to.
It's more than just a loom video, bro.
Yeah, it's not. It's
No,
not
it's
just
so
like
much
this
more
is your
than that.
macros. I could work with someone for 2 years and never set them macros. So
Yes.
it's like, well, what else are you doing for 2 years? And so it takes up a lot of time and energy. And it's the energy thing of like, I've only got so much that I want to give, and then the rest I need to spend on myself for. And I also value so many other things in life. I never have, apart from like when I was teaching and I was working, coaching and stuff, that was obviously 7 days a week, non-stop for that time. But then when I
Do you
quit, I
feel
was
like
like,
there's
no.
a period where you, sorry, do you feel like there's a period where you have to do
Yeah.
that? Yeah, 100%.
Don't you think now there's just this, and I don't like to be grouped in with these people. There's this narrative of like, yeah, but boundaries and
5 hour
be
working
kind to
week.
yourself and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, all of these things are important. Have boundaries, be kind to yourself, all of these things. But if you want to grow a business, there's going to be a time when you're going to be working 7 days a week
Yeah.
because you fucking love it, and you're
Yeah,
like,
one, you love it, and you're so scared of it not working.
Yeah.
I remember when I left Mini, real. When I left Mini and car sales, I remember saying to myself, and like I run everything by my dad. My dad's like my business manager, but doesn't get paid. Sorry, Dad. So I said to him, I was like, look, this next like 2 years from leaving here, I'm gonna have to make myself like really uncomfortable to make this work. And I remember doing 7 days a week, every week for 2 years.
yeah.
And it is still somewhat 7 days a week because even Instagram is work.
Yeah, I've tried to. So I'm obviously like, I'm very a big proponent of boundaries and self-compassion and the both sides of compassion, like the soft side and the fiercer kind of proactive side. So I'm not like you now. Like I'm very much, for about 2 years, I took every single weekend off, Saturdays and Sundays for about 2 years, and it was amazing. And only recently has that kind of shifted again when I started like studying and stuff. But even then, like my weekend might be studying. It's not. I won't take calls and stuff at weekends. And I think,
Look, now I don't do check-ins on weekends.
yeah,
I don't do calls unless it's something like, I don't know, that I would class as like really important. I'm like, right, I'll just get that. I'm going to schedule that in because I want to do it. And that's what I find my biggest issue is. I fucking love doing it so much. I don't want to stop.
yeah.
But then when I burn out every week, I'm like, well, I don't want to feel like that because I feel like shit.
That's probably in
sometimes.
part like that ADHD thing, because with ADHD, it's like, it's not an issue with as much attention as more like motivation. So when you find something you're motivated to do, it's like, why would I not just keep doing this because I'm motivated?
Yes.
So like it will tie in with that, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, like, I love it, but I genuinely love doing nothing. I love closing my curtains, eating pizza, and not speaking to anyone for a few hours. Like, I'm such an introvert. Like, I love even my family, and I love traveling, all of these things. So for me, it's like, I love my work just as much as I love all of those things. So I'm also 36, and I'm like, I don't want to wake up in my 40s and be like, you just worked for your whole 20s and 30s
Yes.
and think what you could have done. And that's my, like, I live in that fear. That's only in the last couple of years I've had that fear, and now I'm quite intentional with it.
Respect.
Um,
So yeah, sorry. You
yeah.
brought on 7. Well, you brought on one coach at the start.
Yeah, so she'd been a client of mine. She used to compete as well. She had a similar background to me, so she'd competed. She'd had disordered eating before. And then she came to me after she finished competing. Like, so most of my client base initially was people who'd competed before, who were still, some of them were still competing, and then others who had just completely left and were struggling then. So she'd been a client for like 2 or 3 years, like from the very start.
I think that is the best way to do it.
Yeah, so good.
Because I'm stuck in that point at the moment.
Right.
Of like, I know I should, but trust.
You just have to do it though.
It's so hard. I have like people in mind,
Yeah.
and it's people that I have worked with.
You got to groom them. Groom them.
Yeah,
I groomed her. I was like, so what's your social media doing right now?
Yeah, I'm like with the person, and he knows who it is, and he'll be watching this,
right.
because we've spoke briefly about it.
Okay.
And he does everything that I do, and that's what I need you to do for a bit. And we've been working over a year and stuff like that, and I know it will gradually happen. It's just giving away some of that control.
It is scary, I think, the first time. Now I feel quite comfortable with it. Like, so Anna was like a mini me.
So
yeah, but
should feel pretty comfortable with it.
Well, it's because also I value them so much in the sense of I believe in all of the girls that I work with, and that I want them to have a really flourishing career, and I want them to love their jobs. So now I'm so invested in them as people, which helps quite a lot, because like that's my passion of like supporting them to be really good. But I think Anna was like a mini me, and then after that I was like, right, I want people different. I hired a guy for a while, didn't work out, not because he was a guy, it just didn't work. And then after that I was like, right, I'm just going to, like, I want people that are slightly different to me. So I took on another girl who had been a client, who's great. And then after that it was like, okay, this person is in the creative arts, she's a dancer, she's an actress, let's bring her in. She was amazing. And then I've got a dietitian who works with people with eating disorders because I can't. I've got someone who's just about to be finished as a psychotherapist, who's also a nutritionist because I can't. So it's like, now I think you get to the point with business where you're like, okay, I want people on that can do the same as me and I can trust them 100%. And then you get to the point where it's like, right, okay, now I want someone that can do something better than me. Genuinely, when I refer people now, clients to coaches, I'm like, Anna's better than me at working with people who used to compete. She is. Steph's better at working with people with ADHD because, like, we've both been doing a lot of training around that. So it's like, you want people that you can be like, I have no doubt in my mind that you want to work with me, but I can guarantee you that you'll get a better service result from someone else.
Yeah. That's really, like, that's so cool to hear. And this is the exact reason why I want you on this podcast. It's because it's not like, yeah, well, this guy's a coach as well and he's really good, so I'm just going to give him clients. This is because essentially it stems to how can I make my business better? Yeah. Because it is really, it is a part of that. For sure. So with that, what's like I'm not going to say end goal, but what do you see your business like becoming? I think I'm personally moving more into like the mentoring side of things. Still like within our brand of just helping people build teams, like similar to the way that I've built a team. Cool. And that stems from wanting to help people. Yeah. There's a thing that keeps going back here. Yeah. And it's the actual, I like helping people. Yeah. Like I do a lot of like helping like coaches with like client case studies. They've got this person, I don't know what to do with him. Can you help me? Or I don't know what to do with my business right now and stuff like that. And I'm not taking business. What was that? I'm not taking business away from myself. I'm helping because there's enough people in this world for everyone to have loads of clients. And I want them to be doing the best things. And you know how good it is to be a good coach and how fulfilling it is. And it's like, if you're seeing someone else that they want that too, like help them fulfill that, because how amazing it is to, like, it's not like you're given the gift of them being able to do it, but it's being able to support someone to do that is amazing. Like, that's why with EIQ Nutrition that I run with Emma Story Gordon, like the community there is like nothing I've ever experienced. It's just all of these coaches that are like, I'm just here to help. I just want to help as many people as I can. And I would say 95% of people in EIQ are like that. And the buzz that we always get just from just helping these people help more people is like that's so cool. I think that's really like getting lost now. Because people treat, I want your opinion on this. Shit. People treat clients like a means to make money. Yeah. Mentors treat coaches like a means for them to make money. Yes. And we've got like this, like we're just putting profit over people. Whereas like if you just put people first, the profit will come. Yeah, the profit will come. Like that. Profit comes from actually sometimes just being a nice person. Yeah. And the amount of and people who watch this podcast will probably follow me on Instagram. I will rant to the cows come home about fucking dickhead mentors that like make it impossible to leave, say they're going to take you to court, say they're going to send debt collectors around. Does that sound like being a nice person? No, it sounds like you're a cunt.
No, but they're
And
still in business, and it's like, how are you still in
how
business?
are they in business? I fucking... I'm passionate about this subject.
I know who one of the people you were talking about, because
Yeah,
we
of
had
course.
this discussion. I have no idea who this person is, and even I know what he does, and I'd
Yeah,
never
and
even
that's
heard of
not
him
good.
before. No,
And
no.
like, I don't like people not liking me. I don't.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked to hear that.
Okay, so if people were like saying stuff around the interview that was bad, I'm like, shit, I need to fucking change something. And I think like these mentors, and I know like they have horrendous, like, what's the word? Drop off
I bet, yeah.
of clients all the time. Does that not tell you like you probably need to change what you're doing?
But if they're just a means for you to make money, and you've already got them in to make money, then
And that's why they
do-
sign them up for 6 months.
It's
And
sad, isn't it?
anyone that has to sign someone up for 6 months, 12 months is not confident in their service.
You should never have to force someone. The same as
No.
clients. You
I'm
should
just
never
like,
have
yeah,
to
man, pay
force
per
someone to
month, man,
stay.
like, and if you don't enjoy it, then we'll
Yeah.
part ways.
Yeah.
But that never happens
No.
because I provide something good that people want. And it's like, it's not fucking rocket science.
No.
Someone comes to a problem. Here's how I'm going to solve your problem. Let me know if you want that or not. I'm not going to jump on a sales call because it's not a sales call. It's not a selling event. It's someone's come to me with a problem. They say they want coaching. Well, you've already sold it then. What? I haven't got to do anything else.
See, we do have calls, but I think that's partly because of my types of people. and
Yeah, but it's not. You don't call it a fucking
It's not a sales call. No, it's a get to know me. Like,
Yeah,
just
let's
check
just
that
chat.
I'm the right person for you type of. And that is the thing too. Like, one of the reasons that I hired Rosalind, who's our dietitian, was because I was like, we just refer so many people out all the time, and it's like we get a lot of referrals from, especially from like bodybuilding and stuff, obviously. But it's like, if you can't do it, just like refer out. Don't just take people on and then just take their money and then keep
Wing
them. Yeah, which definitely does happen all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's some element of like trying to learn, for sure.
Yeah.
And again, like me, I want to help, so I'll find a way to try and help that. Sometimes you can't help people,
Yeah.
and you need someone else
Yeah.
to step in. And like, I've got a client at the moment who I've referred out, funny enough, to you guys, because I'm at that point now. I can't help. It's too much, and I'm not skilled enough in that area. So
I think.
cool. Let's go.
Yeah,
Sort this.
but I totally think you're right in that most people have good intentions. Most people are like,
Yeah, of
well,
course.
like, and it's even these bikini athletes who have clients who have bulimia, and they're saying, I've cured your bulimia by putting you on a meal plan and doing, and here's your progress pictures. Like, that literally makes me lose sleep at night. I understand that most of these people have good intentions with what they're doing. They're wrong to do it, and they're stopping people from getting the actual help they need. It's totally wrong. But I understand. It's like, well, I've been there. I understand. I can help you, and it's admirable. But you still need to educate yourself if you're doing things like that. It's like, you still need to educate yourself on why you shouldn't be doing stuff like that, even if it is good intentions. Which you see a lot of that in bodybuilding, right? Of like, oh, I've been there. I probably did it in the past. I probably wasn't, when I started coaching, I maybe wasn't the best person to work with people maybe that I would now, because I wasn't at that experience. But obviously you have to get that experience, right? But I definitely would have been like, oh, well, people came to me because they're like, oh, you get it, because you have also struggled with it. And it's like, that helps, but it doesn't mean that I'm qualified to do it.
Yeah, and a lot of people do go to people because they relate with the
For
person.
sure. That's so important, right?
You know, I have loads of clients that are into cars because we can relate on something.
Wait till you see the car I'm driving, you'll be so disgusted.
What is it? What do you drive?
An Audi A1.
What's wrong with that?
No, it's more of the
It's
more
a
the
shit
state of
tip
our.
inside.
Well, I'm not in this country long enough to get a new car, am I? So I just keep coming back, and I'm like
True.
having to like fill up our tires and stuff like that all the time. It's really not great.
There's no judge. There's no prejudice here.
You've not seen it yet.
I'm in a courtesy car at the moment, actually, a Mini Cooper that actually leans to one side when I get in it.
That doesn't
so,
surprise me.
Yeah, it's great. But it's great zipping around town. I love it. I don't want to give it back. Fuck, that was an intense fucking half an hour. Jesus.
I'm actually sweating.
It's pressure's on, I think. Isn't it? No.
I do feel like that. It's the prolonged eye contact that does it.
Sorry. Yeah, people tell me that I do that.
I like it. I do like
Very
it, but
eye contact guy.
I think it's important. But also, I'm a massive introvert, and it makes me a little bit anxious.
Okay, I apologise. So, right, that's kind of like got introduction out of the way. But I kind of knew this one was going to be a little bit like that because me and you both do go off on tangents, for sure. And I'd normally go into questions from Instagram, which I thought I'd lost, but Emilia to the rescue because she's the queen of IG.
Yeah, and also because you literally just didn't click the one button that you have to press.
Well, I didn't fucking know that, did I? So there is a couple that I do want to go through. A couple from my client, actually, Cal Curry. Great name.
That is a good name.
Yeah, it's a great name. But we've kind of just answered one of them. What initially gave you your interest in your field of work? Well, you
My
went through it.
self-obsession.
Yes, self-loathe. So he sent another question though. What is more common when someone comes to you? Overeating / binging or undereating and restricting?
Great question. Usually they kind of come together. Like
I think they kind of go hand in
yeah,
hand a bit.
because
You
overeat
undereat
and
through the
restrict.
week and then you
For sure. But there are definitely two kind of groups of like people who restrict but maybe don't really overeat, or they overeat but not to the extent that they're bringing themselves back into maintenance or surplus, and they have like strict control. These people tend to be people, sometimes competitor types, or like chronic dieters who, I see this a lot with people who've had really crap PTs, who've had them on like meal plans, they've lost loads of weight and then they're just terrified to do anything else because
terrified to eat.
yeah, and I've seen like really hard examples of that, of like people weighing out protein powder and taking like 2 weeks to stop weighing protein powder even though you use a scoop, and things like that, where these people they don't fit ED criteria, so they don't get support. So it's like, and that's from PTs just giving out meal plans and like that rigid approach. What were you going to say?
I wasn't going to say that.
I thought you were about to take a breath to go into a rant.
No.
I was giving you space. But I definitely get more of people who overeat or binge eat, and that doesn't look like a certain thing. It's not like anyone in a certain size of body. It's all different sizes, body sizes, all different backgrounds. I don't think I've ever had a competitor come to me who doesn't overeat or binge eat, and that being their struggle. Even if they've got like hypothalamic amenorrhea or they're still very lean, they still struggle with that. I don't think I've ever, I mean, maybe Anna has because she works with more people like on that spectrum now. But it's mostly people who overeat or binge eat. Whether they restrict or not is another thing on top of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is, yeah, I think it's quite, it's
yeah, I
super
would
common.
have thought that anyway, to be fair. So, next one. I don't know if these people actually want me to say their name, so I won't.
Yeah, I maybe wouldn't. When you said your client's name, I was like,
No, he won't care.
Yeah.
Cal's he's an absolute boy. I love him. It's been like 70 weeks or something. I've been working it. It's just
you
a great
work
guy.
in up to 70 weeks.
Yeah.
Why are you working in weeks?
Oh, well,
Oh, that's, yeah, okay.
why we're not working weeks? We're going to count it in days.
Oh, maybe.
A year and a
would
bit.
be like,
We've been working over a year.
Yeah.
It's just, I've got a weird memory. I remember numbers really well.
okay.
So we've been working a long time, and he's an absolute boy. I love him.
Okay.
So next question: do you think it's possible to have a history of eating disorders and be a bodybuilder and have a healthy relationship with your body and food?
Oh gosh. Okay. So my intention coming into this podcast was to I'm scared that people don't like me in bodybuilding anymore, so I'm mindful.
No, Emilia, say whatever.
No,
the fuck you want to say.
I'll be very honest. I don't think you can be a bodybuilder and have an optimal relationship with food. And I say optimal. So
Cool.
you can have an okay relationship with food, I think. Yeah. And maybe it's kind of like what you were saying. I think you can have a decent relationship with food, but in terms of all of and I would say thousands of people that I've worked with, who a lot of have been bodybuilders, my own personal experience, all of the research we have around like styles of eating and relationships with like disordered eating and body image and stuff like that, we know that a more intuitive approach that doesn't focus on controlling your body is associated with the most healthful outcomes, like better overall well-being, more positive body image, reduced disordered eating, so many outcomes, more self-compassion, just everything. So for me, an optimal relationship with food looks like eating intuitively at the end of the day, whether that comes through like dieting initially, whether you track initially, like whatever comes before that, fine. But no, I genuinely don't think that you can compete. And also, to get to the point of competing where you're like, you can place like that level of lean, physiologically, especially as a woman, right, you're probably...
This is a female asking the question.
Okay, so as a woman, you're probably, although it depends on your genetics, right, not going to have a period, probably, but not necessarily.
99%.
Yeah. So do you have a good relationship with food if you're dieting to a point where your body is actually starving to a point where it's unhealthy? No, because if you had a good relationship with food in your body, you wouldn't do that to your body. And I think that's the thing too, of like a positive body image. When you have a positive body image, you act out of a way of love and respect for your body. Competing is got lots of good positive things to it, right? But you don't compete because you want to take care of your body. You compete because you want to win a trophy or you want the things that come with that, right? you don't treat your body like that if you love her. I say her because I like to think of my body as a her because I think it's a nice way of speaking about it. But her or him, right, them, whatever, you just don't do that to them. So I don't think that you can.
Very cool way of looking at that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Okay, cool.
Do you agree or disagree?
I completely agree.
Okay, great.
Is it going to stop anyone from doing it though?
No, because that's not. But this,
No, and I'm not saying.
Yeah.
That's not me being argumentative.
No, you're not.
That's like, when you're saying that, I'm like, people will listen to that and think, yeah, you know what, you're right. I'm still going to do it though.
Yeah.
Because some people do love everything to do with bodybuilding.
I loved it when I competed.
Yeah,
by the way.
exactly.
And
And
I
do want to make this clear. Like, Amelia's not like hating on bodybuilding.
Yeah, I loved
like,
it as a
do whatever
sport.
the fuck you want, man. Like,
Yeah. I hate the narrative of like people go and compete and then they come out and then they're like, competing is the worst thing in the world and all of this stuff, and it ruined me and all these things. I personally had issues before I competed. It exacerbated it. And I'm glad I competed for what it taught me. I still don't think I still would never recommend. I would never prep anyone. I would never recommend anyone do it. To be honest, but that doesn't mean I hate it as a sport. I understand what it is, and you've got like, you know, Olympians that don't have periods because they're so lean, and it's always bodybuilders that are like, oh, bodybuilding's so stupid because of all of these things, and it's like, it's not just bodybuilding, it's other sports too. It's just that we see it in fitness of like, it's bodybuilding.
Yeah, because a lot of professional sports is calorie controlled.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably going to have a detriment to their relationship with food as well.
Yeah, and like power to weight ratios and stuff like that, or sports where you have to make weight and drop 10 kilos in a month and all of these things.
That's
like
probably not good for you.
Yeah, all of these things are not great. So like, I speak from what I know, but I don't.
F1. Well, you can't be heavy.
I'm not going to pretend I know.
Like,
I'm like, yeah.
If you're like a kilo heavier than you're meant to be, you'll lose like a second a lap. Well, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Across a 70-lap race. That's 70 seconds.
Good
Do you know
maths.
what I mean?
Good maths.
Not my first time, guys. That's a C in GCSE maths for you. Okay, cool. Like that one. You're going to hate this question probably.
Can't wait.
Because it's like, I don't know where you'd start. Best advice for someone recovering from an eating disorder?
Don't compete. It's fun.
If you had like one piece of advice that first thing that springs to your mind.
Honestly, if you've got an eating disorder, you need to get the right support. Like that, like I'm going to kind of discount that as advice in the sense of eating disorders require an eating disorder specialist. Whether that comes through your GP and you get therapy and a dietitian, whether you go private, like Rosalind, who works with me, who's a dietitian, she does work with Becca, who's a psychotherapist, who combine. Whatever you're doing, you need to get that support. I don't work with people with eating disorders. Like you need to first of all do that. That's the most important thing, and take their advice, whatever that is the other thing. I think realistically, the things that you need to think about is kind of coming back to what I was saying with competing of like, it's really difficult to treat your body well if you don't love your body. And sometimes when you're struggling with a disorder, like disordered eating or an eating disorder, you're like, well, I don't love my body, so why would I respect her and why would I treat her well? So developing a way of treating your body well, even if you don't love to do it. So things like yoga for someone who's struggling with the relationship with food initially can be so hard because it's not intense, although it can be, but it's not intense. It's not like masochistic like the gym is or running is. It's slowing down, and people really struggle with that because it's like slowing down, being with your thoughts, doing all these things.
I'm really shit at that.
Yeah, but again, that'll be.
And I live next to a place called Yoga Heaven, and I still haven't been. Can you like make me go?
Yeah, I'll make you.
Thank you. I've even got a letter in my letterbox at my place that's an advert for it. I'm like, I still haven't been.
Yoga.
Danny Bosworth will actually call me out for that because she had a go at me for not going because it's next door.
Yeah, she's right. But also yoga, there's some research around yoga and ADHD and how it improves things like, or it's associated with like improved executive function, which is potentially slightly dysfunctional in ADHD. So there's lots of reasons why you should do it.
Yoga Heaven.
But yeah, I think trying to find a way to treat your body with kindness and care, even though you don't necessarily feel it, is really important. So whether that be yoga, whether it be resting, whether it be thinking about your food in an inclusive way of like, how does this meal nourish me, as opposed to like, what's in this food that's going to make me gain weight or lose weight. You know, I don't know what body size someone is in when they've got an eating disorder.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I
didn't hate that one, by the way. Whoever asked that question, I didn't hate that question.
No, but you know what I mean. It's fuck me, where'd you start?
Yeah.
You know,
there's a lot. Yeah,
it's not as simple as do this.
Yeah.
And it was going to help.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, seeking help. This is actually from me.
Are you lying? Because you pulled a funny face there. Okay, right.
It's from me, actually. Thank you. So,
Sorry, it's just you have a penis. I assume you're lying.
wow.
Kidding. No
Savage.
issues here.
You're not kidding at all. She's had bad times with men. Anyway, because men are cunts. So, truth. What's the biggest change you personally made that improved your relationship with food?
Quitting competing.
Yeah.
Stopping dieting. I haven't dieted since 2018. I dieted when I was going on holiday. And then I never dieted again because I started dieting from a holiday, then started to see that I was binging a bit again. Not anything like disastrous, but I did notice it. I struggled after that diet when I went to California. I struggled a bit with it. That was the most life-changing thing for me, of just not dieting, and now I've never dieted again. So that was 5 years ago or something like that, I think. And I think letting go of trying to control your body and just accepting there's nothing wrong with dieting, and especially if dieting's good for your health, then
if I've got a 400-pound guy, kind of needs to go on a diet.
For sure. But then even then, if someone's in a larger body but they're struggling with binge eating and stuff, dieting is still not healthy. Even if you do have excess body fat, working on your relationship with food will help you lose that body fat regardless. But actually, that's the healthiest thing to do. So I definitely used to think in the past, like, if you're in a larger body, well, then obviously you should diet because that's going to impact your health. But realistically, the stress of dieting when you don't have a good relationship with food can actually be more detrimental.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if someone's got to 400 pounds, probably haven't got a great relationship with food.
Possibly, yeah. So I think letting go of trying to control your body and accepting that your body changes with the seasons. And I don't mean like spring, summer, whatever. I mean the seasons of your life. Of like last year, I had a season of just like intense grief, and I was emotionally eating and I gained quite a lot of weight, and just it being saying, okay, well, accept that. And then by summer, people were saying, what have you done because you're really lean? And it was like, well, it was summer and I was traveling, and so it just kind of naturally came back down, and just being like, okay, well, this is what our bodies are supposed to do. Not freaking out when you like, don't weigh yourself. If you're in a quote unquote healthy body, right, and you have healthy habits, you go to the gym, you eat well within your like scope and stuff like that. Why are you taking scale weight? Like, why are you doing that? Sometimes it's just to try and control things, and really, sometimes if you just take it away, you lose that need to try and control all the time. And so I think for me, that was probably the biggest thing. That and meditation, which is a total kind of curveball, but that changed my life.
Talk to me about that.
Meditation is something that I don't say everyone should do, because I don't think people who maybe have ADHD, people who have, like big T trauma, things like that, sometimes meditation can be quite triggering, so that's not always the right thing to do. But mindfulness practice is important for everyone, whatever that looks like. But meditation for me changed my entire life. It made me more self-aware. It made me more compassionate towards myself, towards other people. It made me be able to like respond rather than react. So now if something happens, like I remember someone crashed into my car and drove away, and I saw it and I was like, oh. And then I got in my car and drove away, and I thought, well, that's interesting. I didn't even retaliate.
Yeah, and I've that's a lot of the reason why I went to like therapy last year. It was because I didn't like how I was reacting to situations. And like the other day, it's quite a funny story for the podcast. Right. So I moved into my apartment in December.
Okay.
And you know those smart meters?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was linked to the heating. It wasn't. It was just the water and the electric.
Okay.
I thought, fucking hell, I've been blasted. It's a really cold place because it's like grade 2 listed, so you can't change the windows. And the windows are like tracing paper.
Okay.
It's really cold in there. So I was like, I'm just whacking the heating up.
Oh, no.
Every room, even if I'm not in it, was on all the time. I thought, it's fucking well cheap to live here. The meter doesn't really go up that much.
Oh, no.
So, guy above me, San, shout out Shan, was like, and this was like, about 3 weeks ago. He was like, bro, the heating guys just come round and showed me where my meter is. And bro, it's like cost me like $1,000 a month. Yeah, for the last 2 months. He said, I've got to come and show you where yours is.
Oh.
He'd done like 3,000 kilowatt.
Okay,
and it cost him $1,000 a month.
Oh, no.
They took mine off.
No.
And it was 14,000 kilowatt. So it's cost me like $6,000 for 2 months. And they were like, are you not pissed off? I was like, I can't do anything about it. And before, I'd be like fucking raging, getting really fucking angry, really stressed out. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, I can't do anything, so I've got to pay it, unfortunately. Safe to say the next day, well, that next minute, all of the heating is now off and it's freezing in there. So I'm just going to try and like recoup it for the year.
Yeah, nice.
But fuck.
Oh, that's brutal. But amazing response.
Yeah, and you know, I picked up a car 6 weeks ago and had it for 4 days, and a lorry took me off the road.
Oh,
you know, I paid a lot of money for this car, and it's cost a lot of money to fix through the insurance, and now my insurance is fucking loads for next year. Okay. Well, I can't go back in time.
Yeah, radical acceptance. That.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, this lorry's took me off the road. What do I need to do right now? Right, get his details. My mate owns a body shop. Rang him up, bro. I've crashed my car. I'm going to drive it to you. Drove it. God, the looks I was getting. Wing mirrors hanging off. Doors caved in.
Oh my God.
I'll get it back tomorrow, so I can't wait. But it's just like, okay, you know, just learn to accept things and just get on with it. And I've become such a better person because of it.
Acceptance is like life changing. Of just acceptance and non-attachment, I think, is like not being attached to the outcome of something and just accepting things as they are. I think are life changing. Yeah, and also like it kind of ties into food, because sometimes we control our food because we can't accept uncertainty and we can't accept things we feel like unsafe when we don't have control over things. So we find that safety in our food, right? But if you can accept that things will be fine regardless and like you'll be okay, it's like, okay, well, I don't necessarily need to control all these things. Maybe I can just sit with that and that will be fine.
Yeah. If there's one thing you could change about the industry, what would it be? I know it's hard when there's a list of 100.
No, because I don't think that.
Okay.
I actually had this conversation with a mate this morning, because he used to be like, oh, I'm not like one of those other fitness wankers. And I was like, I'm so bored of people saying I'm not like all those other fitness wankers. It's like, you are, because you're in fitness, and you like saying that you're not and then posting transformation pictures and doing all this stuff. Like, you are fitness, and that's fine. Fitness can be an amazing place if you create a nice echo chamber for yourself, which I do think I've kind of done now, where I'm like, I love the industry that I'm in. I think it's great. I think for me, I think, oh God, I don't know. I think the dishonesty, maybe. Yeah. I think if I could change, if people had to be super honest about everything that they did and everything that their clients did. I mean, I wouldn't want people to be out in clients of like, this person struggled with this, but like, transformation picture for example, they just do so much harm for so many people and are so dishonest so much of the time. I have coaches that use my current clients' transformations to sell their fat loss programs, when their client is now with me struggling with binge eating because of the diet that they did, and they're still making money off their bodies, and it's so dishonest. So it's probably that. What's yours? Have you said this before on a podcast?
Yeah, when I interviewed myself. I don't like what it's kind of become a little bit in terms of like, 20k a month, bro. Yeah. All this sort of stuff. It's like...
That was my other one.
But it's from a byproduct of roping people in to 6 to 12. You know, when I take someone on, it's because they've asked for help. I haven't asked them. Yeah. Like DMing people and fucking like following loads of people that follow this person, stuff like that, and then reaching out to them. If someone wants to work with you, they'll probably ask you.
See, do you know what? Like, I agree, and I've never done that myself, but I do also think there is a space. People run businesses, and I think there's a space for like need to
network and talk
create
to people and communicate and stuff with that. I get that 100%. I don't think so in this business.
Pardon?
I don't think in this business.
Oh, okay.
It's like Gareth, for example, who's part of Physique Collective. He has an accountancy firm for coaches. Well, of course he's going to DM people to tell them about the service. I just don't think it works as a online coach. I don't like it.
I don't do it. I can see why some people...
I can see why people tell people to do it, because it's a good way to communicate with someone, stuff like that. You know what's a better way to communicate with someone? Actually being fucking interested and putting something out.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing of like, actually, if you just showed up authentically and talked about what you do, of course, and I mean, you talk about what you do all the bloody time. Can't get through your stories because there's just so many pictures of clients. I'm like, oh, okay, great. But
what would you like to see more of on my story?
Just sunshine and rainbows.
Sunshine, which is me. So, okay, that's fine. I'll just put more selfies up.
Thanks so much. I think if you're doing that sort of stuff, then the need for the other stuff is less. But yeah, I think people struggle to be their authentic self.
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are boring.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, and if you put out good content, people relate to it. They're going to communicate with you. Solved. I don't need to DM.
Yeah, people buy into you as a person.
100%.
As long as they know you're A qualified. So, like, again, if we use Ross as an example, she's a dietitian, so she's qualified. So it's like, okay, well, now they want to trust you as a person. They need to know your personality. It's like, I think that's missed.
People buy from people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate to bring it back to like salesy, but it's part of it. If you could go back to the start, what would you do differently?
Nothing.
Good. Love that answer because that's fucking what I said. The only thing I said was start sooner.
Yeah, but then
would it have worked out like
you might
this?
not have been ready to start, and you might not have been
True.
as confident as confident as you are now. I don't know, like, yeah.
Inverted commas confident.
Yeah, exactly. You might not have been in the place to do it. So I don't believe in changing anything. I really don't.
This is why I've got Emilia on the podcast. So enlightening. Love it. Okay, last thing, which I always end on. You're obviously pretty fucking successful at what you do, and you're very good at what you do.
Oh, thanks.
Okay? That's why you're here.
I'll pocket that one.
What cost has come at that? Like, what price is that?
For me, I'm unattractive to men. Like, that's a genuine thing. And I know that sounds really basic and shallow, but I've been told many times from friends, male friends, partners, etc., that it's not an attractive thing for a woman to be. And I know this even from research. I talk about this in some of the talks that I do. It's not attractive for a woman to be confident, and again, I'll say confident in inverted commas, successful. When a woman goes into a room and she's confident, her likability goes down. There's like this thing called the competency likability bias, where as a woman gets more competent or appears more competent, her likability goes down. There was a study done in Harvard and Columbia, I think it was, right? And they had a woman who was a venture capitalist, super successful. And they gave her CV to like 300 students, and they were like, who? But what they did was her name was Heidi. So they had Heidi, whatever, at the top. And then on the other CV, they put Howard, but it was exactly the same CV. And they gave them to 300 students, and they said, who would you employ? Who would you want to work with? And what they said was that Heidi was unlikable and they wouldn't want to employ her. And Howard, they said, would be a good team player, and they wanted to have him. And it was exactly the same CV. And it's because it was a man. And so genuinely, and I don't mean like, was me, I've had a lot of opportunities because I'm a woman as well. So this is not like, oh, it's hard to be a woman. But for me, in terms of like romantic relationships, for sure, it's that me being successful has an impact on that.
Yeah, well, I'd say that says a lot about the male.
And obviously the men that I obviously have gone for in the past also. But it's
insecure.
But that competency likability thing is not just men, by the way. That's men and women see it that way.
Okay, cool.
So I'm not like blaming.
No. And I know you're not. And I know you I joked earlier with you outside about saying you just slate men, but
because
you don't.
I love men.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
It's like with you saying that, I'm the complete opposite, because I have to be with someone that's driven, successful, has goals, has ambitions, stuff like that, because that's a massive turn on for me. And I don't find it as like how do men find it normally? Like what am I trying to say?
Demasculating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it as I want to work. It makes me work harder.
Yeah. And
not because I want to be the man of the relationship or anything like that, or be better than someone. I just like having people around me that do well. Yeah. Because it makes me do better.
And listen, the men in my life now, like romantically and otherwise, are much more like you of they feel the same way, and that's who I surround myself with now. And the men that I choose now are much more like that. It's more so in the past, but I remember seeing this comedian, and she's a female comedian, and she was like, oh yeah, it's really intimidating to men because she's in movies and stuff, and she's really intimidating. But she was like, who wouldn't want to get sucked off by a billionaire? And she was like, what? Like, why would you not want that for your ego? Is that not okay to
Let's
say
try
that?
it out.
It's like,
any billionaires out there want to suck us off?
Yeah. She was like, as a man, what's better for your ego? Is that really bad to say?
No, I'm really glad you said it.
She was like, what's better for your ego than having like being in
someone
that situation?
Super powerful, really successful, going down on you.
Yeah. Well, and I thought that's a fair point.
Hit me up, let me know. Any billionaires listening? I'm ready.
Yeah, but yeah. Sorry, I've just really lowered the tone.
No, it doesn't matter.
Started with Dr Emilia Thompson talking about.
But that makes you likeable.
Thanks.
Like I always watch your reels when you're training. because you will always say something sexual, and I find that funny.
It's like toilet humour. That's all.
Yeah. But that makes me not relate to you because, like, I do joke around about sex and shit and stuff like that, and like that's why I find you funny.
Oh, thanks.
Do you know what I mean?
It's also a point of like normalising stuff like that.
Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
as a coach, like you need to be able to talk about sex.
When people get uncomfortable talking about that stuff, I'm like, man, like I'll just pull my trousers down in here. I don't care. It's like 50% of the people in the world have got one.
I feel like that might be a conversation we need to have if you're just dropping your trousers.
Maybe not on the podcast. All right. Anyway, right. Cool. That's it. Fucking hell, that was new enough for now. That's the longest one we've done so far.
Great.
Told you she was a talker. Fucking hell.
Sorry.
If people want to find you anywhere, Instagram, Emilia Thompson PhD, is it?
Yeah. Know that one off by heart.
I've typed it in so many times. Just want to see those reels again. You can find her there, and like inquiring and stuff with you. Is it just done through like Linktree or?
Yeah, Instagram is the best place. I do have on my website emilia.fitness like free resources around body image. If you want to start like journaling and stuff like that and trying to get more self-aware, I've got tons of free resources, so you can get them on there.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, because I thought that was really fucking good. I was thinking, like, whilst you're talking about this, I was like, this is really fucking good. And I really hope a lot of people listen to this, because I think so many people could probably just step back and be like, yeah, actually, I feel that. I probably need to do something about it.
Hopefully. And if you don't listen to it now, you might listen to it in 5 years' time when you've stopped competing and you're ready to hear it, and that's also fine.
Yes. Cool. Right. Episode 4 done. Shout out to the sponsors as well. Pro Athlete. If you want to rate your coach on there, you can. TripAdvisor for coaches is what I like to call it. And we'll leave it there. Thanks for listening.